This should be it. All right, so here we go. Camera zoom out by bottom C, top C zoom in, left and right camera moves. I can change camera mode by pressing R, move around with the stick, punch with B, jump with A, and crouch with Z. We've got it. We have it. Hey everyone, Steve here. And in this video, I'll show you a few ways of connecting your Nintendo 64 controllers to the Nintendo Switch, including the only way that I've found that lets you play Super Mario 64 via the 3D All-Stars collection exactly as you would have played it originally. So just quickly, with these setups, I only really cared about three things. First is how the buttons will naturally be mapped. There's no guarantee the button assignments will make sense when you're doing this kind of stuff, so sometimes you just have to hope for the best. Second, can the buttons be changed and how many will need to be? One of the cool features of the Switch is that it can change button assignments of some connected controllers, but as you'll see, not every controller can be changed. Finally, do the controls work fine for Mario 64? Okay, so whenever I reference Mario 64 in this video, just know I mean the version on Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Switch. That's the only game I'll be testing, and it's the only one that I feel really matters for the sake of accuracy, at least until the Nintendo 64 games come to Switch Online. With that out of the way, here is the only setup I found that worked to provide an accurate Nintendo 64 controller experience on the Switch. Okay, so to do this, you'll need a RAFnet Nintendo 64 to GameCube adapter and an 8BitDo G-Bros wireless adapter. That's it. The N64 controller goes into the RAFnet into the 8BitDo. Then you just follow the pairing instructions for the 8BitDo and you'll be good to go. Just for reference, I only ever tested this original grey authentic Nintendo 64 controller, so your mileage may vary if you use other third-party ones. By default, the D-pad works well and the N64 control stick is mapped to the Switch's left analog stick. Start is plus, the B and A remain as B and A on the Switch, N64L becomes Switch's R, N64R becomes Switch's ZR, N64Z becomes Switch's ZL, and finally, and also most importantly, the C buttons become the right analog stick. Now this is super important because you need the right stick to change the camera in Mario 64 for Switch, right? And you also can't remap any buttons to it if it's missing. So it is vital that we have it here by default with these adapter mappings. Now the big issue we have at the moment is that we don't have a Switch X or Y. And this is only an issue because Mario 64 on Switch annoyingly uses X and Y for punching, so we need to change some things around. So in the Switch settings, I remapped B to X, but now you need a B button to exit out of menus and stuff, and the Switch won't let you leave it unmapped. So I initially mapped X to B, but then I forgot I didn't have an X button in the first place. So I ended up mapping Switch R to B, which if you remember is actually the N64L. Confusing, right? If you're doing this, don't worry about it too much, just take your time and figure things out slowly. Now in this test, I forgot to map the minus button to anything, which meant I wouldn't be able to access the 3D All-Stars in-game menu, but I could have easily gone back and mapped that to the D-pad later on. Anyways, now you can see that everything works amazingly and I can control Mario 64 on the Switch with an original N64 controller and it all works great. It is so relieving to have this figured out, and I hope this helps other people trying to do the same thing. Another great thing is that this setup is at least semi-wireless. Of course you have a cable going from the controller to the RAFnet adapter, then the RAFnet adapter to the 8BitDo, but you could theoretically sit as far away from your Switch as the 8BitDo lets you, which is neat. Now it turns out this was my fifth and final attempt at an adapter setup to achieve this. Yes, I tried 4 other setups that didn't work for various reasons, and for the sake of documentation, here they are. The first setup I tried was the Hyperkin N64 to Switch adapter. All the buttons here did something, which was great. The C buttons were mapped to the right analog stick, which we know is crucial, but unfortunately I again had no X or Y for punching, and this is one instance where the Switch for some reason wouldn't let me change button mappings, so that removes this as an option for this purpose from here on out. The second setup was the Mayflash N64 to Switch adapter, and this basically had the exact same issue. I like this adapter because it comes with 2 ports and an inbuilt home button and turbo features, but not being able to remap buttons is a deal breaker. The third setup I tried involved 2 more adapters, the RAFnet N64 to Wii accessory adapter, and the Brook Wii accessory to Switch/PS4 super converter. This RAFnet adapter is pretty cool because it takes NES, SNES, N64 and GameCube controllers and converts them to the Wii accessory port. Although obviously I'm just using the N64 part here. Unfortunately, this setup maps the C-stick to other buttons on the Switch and not the right analog stick. And because that can never be remapped with the inbuilt menu, we're basically out of luck here. And finally, the fourth unsuccessful setup was the RAFnet N64 to GameCube adapter I ended up using into the Mayflash GameCube to Switch hub. This hub didn't even recognize the controller at all, so there's nothing really to see here. So that was the journey I went on. Again, to recap, the only thing that worked perfectly for me was the RAFnet Nintendo 64 to GameCube adapter into an 8BitDo G-Bros wireless adapter. You'll then have to do a little bit of Switch button remapping to get it to work as you expect it to, but it is all compatible and achievable. Super Mario 64 in the 3D All-Stars collection plays great, and it's good to know that with a bit of effort, you can get that authentic Nintendo 64 controller experience on your Switch. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I hope all this info is helpful for people. If you liked the video, a subscribe and a thumbs up would be great. I would love to chat and answer anything I can in the comments below, and there's a whole lot more to see on my channel, so I hope you stick around. Thanks for watching, see ya.